This video is sponsored by Clean My Mac X. Hey, what's going on everyone? Greg here, and oh my god, did you see it? The new 24-inch iMac is finally here with a stunning new redesign complete with 7 new colors and packed with an M1 chip, and I think it looks absolutely fantastic. I'm getting some serious vibes from the old iMac G3 days, and I cannot wait to get this iMac into my studio so we can take a look at it together. It's been like over 8 years since the iMac has had a redesign. However, I know my audience, I know you guys are just as impatient as I am, and there's a lot of you who are going to order this thing on April 30th before you watch a single review video. And I can't blame you. Again, it's been 8 years since we've had a redesign of the iMac, and there's excitement in the air. However, there's still a few things you really need to know before you buy this iMac. So in this video, I'm going to do my best to give you a complete overview of this new 24-inch iMac, including some things that Apple didn't tell you in their presentation. And then I'm going to do my best to give you some buying advice based on the information we have now. And honestly, I already have a good idea on how this Mac will perform because it still has the same M1 chip as the current MacBook Air, MacBook Pro, and Mac Mini. But I still do recommend waiting for the full review because it's impossible to completely judge a product based on what Apple tells you. But I'm gonna do my best to give you the best information possible. First off, let's get into a refresher on what's new with the iMac. Now, this iMac has a completely new redesign that looks like a mixture between the old iMac design and an iPad Pro design. There's a lot of things the rumors and leaks got wrong here, and although the bezels on this iMac are reduced, it still has a pretty big chin, although it does lose the Apple logo on the front. The smaller bezels give the iMac a 24-inch display, although the official rating on Apple's website is actually 23.5 inches, but it packs this bigger screen into a footprint size that's only slightly bigger than the 21.5-inch model it replaces. The display is upgraded from a 4K display to a 4.5K Retina display with a resolution of 4480 by 2520 at 218 pixels per inch. However, I should note this display does not have the rumored improvements of a mini LED display, and it doesn't seem like there's really any display improvements compared to the previous 21.5-inch iMac besides the display being bigger. So it still has the same 500 nits of brightness rating, the same P3 wide color support, and the True Tone display technology. The current iMac display is great, and honestly, it didn't need a better display anyway, but I'm willing to bet after seeing the latest iPad Pro update that Apple will still have a display upgrade, but I think it's going to be exclusive to the bigger version of the iMac that still hasn't been refreshed yet. More drastically, the design change is actually on the side of the device, with this iMac being evenly thin across the entire panel casing at just 11.5 millimeters. This iMac is pretty light too, weighing in at 9.88 pounds. I could probably take this iMac to like a coffee shop with me. I might do that for a video. I gotta say, the biggest thing that stuck out to me with the new design was the colors, with Apple having 7 different color options available for the iMac in blue, green, pink, yellow, orange, purple, and of course, classic silver. On the back, we also get up to 4 USB-C ports, with 2 of them being Thunderbolt ports. The power plug magnetically attaches to the back now. I guess MagSafe is coming to the iMac. And the power cord is color matching. Now, something new to the iMac design is that it now has a power brick on the outside, so the power supply is no longer internally in the Mac. However, this power brick also houses a gigabit Ethernet connector, which Apple says will help hide wires better. Oh, there's also a headphone jack on the side of the device. Don't worry, Apple didn't take it away. It's still alive. I should also mention the Magic Keyboard and Magic Mouse are also getting a slight design refresh, with both devices receiving color accents that match the iMac color you purchase, and on the Magic Keyboard, some new key changes and the addition of the Touch ID sensor in the top right corner. Finally, Touch ID on the Mac. I've been waiting for that for so long. On Mac desktops, I should say. It's been on Mac laptops, but on the iMac, Touch ID, awesome. However, although we usually focus on the outside design of products, the design on the inside is also important too, and Apple has completely new redesigned internals for this new iMac, with a much smaller logic board taking up much less space in the computer. This time, Apple attaches what looks like two smaller fans on opposite sides of the board to ensure proper cooling. Apple said the fans are super quiet, and based on my usage with the M1 Mac Mini and MacBook Pro, I have no doubt that you'll rarely, if ever, hear these fans when using the computer, thanks to how efficient Apple's M1 chip is. The internals are also redesigned with Apple adding new speakers, which they're saying are the best speakers ever in a Mac. And they support Apple's spatial audio feature. iMac speakers already sounded really good, so I'm very interested to give these new improved speakers a listen. The webcam is also getting a boost here to a 1080p webcam, and Apple is including its studio quality microphones on the iMac. Again, they're saying the best microphones ever included in a Mac, and if they're anything like the 16-inch MacBook Pro's microphones, this iMac is going to be amazing for video calls and even recording audio directly into the internal microphone. These iMacs also come equipped with Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5.0. Okay, I think I summarized the new iMac pretty well. Hopefully I didn't leave anything out, but if I did, I know you'll all let me know in the comments below anyway. Alright, now before we talk about some buying advice, and I do think I have some pretty interesting information about these new iMacs that you're going to want to hear, there's some other advice I'd like to give you before purchasing any new Mac, and that's to make sure it's always running at its best with our sponsor for this video, Clean My Mac X. That's because Clean My Mac X is already 100% fully optimized for Apple Silicon with incredibly fast performance and a new design that looks right at home with macOS Big Sur. Not only does Clean My Mac X look great, but its intuitive interface is also easy to use to make sure your Mac always runs like new and comes with a simple one-button smart scan that will quickly scan your Mac for large files, system junk, malware, and give you some recommendations on how to boost the speed and optimize your Mac. And I know you're thinking, Greg, I know how to delete files on my Mac, but this goes beyond deleting simple files you see, because Clean My Mac X deep scans your Mac for temporary files and app leftovers that aren't so easy to find manually. Clean My Mac X is also useful for getting rid of older 32-bit apps which are no longer supported on newer versions of macOS. Just look at how many useless apps I had on my own system, still needlessly taking up space and system resources. And don't take my word for it, because you can try Clean My Mac X for yourself for free by using the link in the description below. So make sure you check out the sponsor for this video, Clean My Mac X, and thank you so much to Clean My Mac X for sponsoring this video. Alright, let's talk some buying advice, because there's a lot Apple left out, and as of the making of this video, you still can't configure storage or memory options on Apple's website just yet. Don't worry, you can configure it up to 16 gigabytes of memory and 2 terabytes of RAM, but you just can't see the pricing right now. But don't worry, I did all the pricing calculations for you on if you were planning to configure this iMac out to some higher spec options. But before we do that, we need to know the difference between the two models. I know Apple announced one new iMac technically, but there's actually two different models here, and they have some pretty big differences. Now, if you look at the iMac page quickly, you might not notice that the entry-level model, the one that starts at $1,299, has some setbacks. First of all, it's using a weaker M1 chip that has a 7-core GPU, much like the weakest version of the MacBook Air. The higher tiered option will get you an 8-core GPU. Secondly, the port selection on the lower end $1,300 iMac only has 2 Thunderbolt ports. Yes, a big 24-inch desktop computer that only has 2 USB-C ports. I wish I was kidding here, and remember that nifty Ethernet port I mentioned in the power brick? Yeah, it isn't included on the lowest end model either, and to make things even worse, the Magic Keyboard that's included on the lowest end model does not include the Touch ID sensor. I mean, come on, Apple, come on! I'm really disappointed in that entry-level model. This iMac is also limited in colors with blue, green, pink, and silver, and this model is really looking like the one to avoid at this point. I'm sorry, I just really don't understand why the port selection is so limited here. Now, if you step up to the $1,500 model, you of course get that 8-core GPU, 2 Thunderbolt ports, and then 2 USB-C 3.1 ports, which are fast in their own right with data throughput of 10 gigabits per second. There's also a gigabit Ethernet port in the power adapter, and the Magic Keyboard for this one has Touch ID included. Also, this iMac is available in all 7 colors. So for $200 more, even though it has the same 256GB SSD and 8GB of memory, you are getting a slightly more powerful chip and a computer that has more ports. Now, the highest end model just seems to be a storage bump, getting a 512GB SSD, so I highly suggest at least bumping up to the mid-tier model to make sure you're getting the bigger port selection and Touch ID included on the Magic Keyboard. Okay, like I mentioned before, right now the configurator for these new iMacs isn't available on Apple's website. However, we can already see on the tech spec page that these upgrades for storage and memory are exactly the same as Apple's other M1 Macs. So I think we can pretty accurately guess what the upgrade prices will be on these machines. I'm like 99% certain of this. So for example, a bump up to 512GB of storage would be a $200 upgrade. An upgrade to 1TB of storage would be $400 more, and maxing it out at 2TB would be $800 more. Meaning the maxed out storage of a 24-inch iMac will be $2,299 on the model with more ports, and $2,099 on the entry-level configuration. Now, unfortunately, it looks like we still just get an option for 16GB of memory on all of these configurations. If you plan to push these Macs with any video editing, 3D modeling, photo editing, music production, or whatever intensive tasks you plan to be doing on these Macs, I would highly recommend getting the additional 16GB of memory, which will be a $200 add-on. If you're just doing basic tasks like web browsing, listening to music, watching video, and some lighter photo and video editing, I think 8GB will be fine. But if you plan to use this computer for over 5 years, I think upgrading to 16GB now makes sense because you can't upgrade the memory in these iMacs later. So if we add the max memory configuration and max storage configuration to the 4-port 24-inch iMac, that would come out to $2,499, and then for the 2-port model, if you were maxing that out, it would come out to $2,299. My advice at this point is to avoid that base model if you can, because of the lack of ports. Get as much storage as you need, and if you're using this for memory-intensive applications or plan on using this computer for more than 5 years, I would really recommend upgrading to the 16GB of memory. Now, there's also other options you might want to consider. Listen, I was thrilled to see a new iMac redesign, and the M1 in the lowest end iMac, it makes a lot of sense when you think about it. That packed together with a beautiful 4.5K Retina display, good speakers, a better camera, you just have a all-in-one desktop solution, and honestly, I'm going to run out and buy it right away. However, let's not beat around the bush. A lot of you were expecting something even more drastic and powerful with an M1X chip, and even higher memory and storage options and more powerful graphics. That is not this iMac. That in all likelihood will be the bigger 32-inch iMac, which I think should still be released sometime this year, and we could see that product as soon as June 7th at Apple's WWDC conference. So if this isn't the iMac upgrade you were envisioning, you may want to wait for just a bit longer until the upgrade you really want is here. There's also Apple's other M1 Macs, which should run pretty similarly to this M1 iMac. So if you wanted a portable setup, the MacBook Air and MacBook Pro are great choices. Or if you already have your own monitor and keyboard, and you need to save some serious cash, you're looking at the price of this iMac and going, I can't afford that, well then you should definitely check out the M1 Mac Mini. It's a great machine, it comes in at a low price point, and it has a pretty diverse port selection, unlike these new iMacs. Now, if you are planning on ordering this iMac, don't forget that the order page goes up on April 30th, and they will ship out to customers in the second half of May. All right, hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, be sure to give me a like. If you want to see more from my channel, well, make sure you're subscribed because I will be reviewing this iMac next month, and I'll probably be posting another update video on the iMac before it ships. Also, don't forget to check out our sponsor for this video, Clean My Mac X, and as always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Take care, everyone.